All right, what's going on? The video's coming right up, but I'm just here to tell you that almost 78% of you guys watching this video right now are not subscribed. So make sure if you're watching this, hit the subscribe button, support us. We thank you for watching, but if you're not subscribed, make sure you are.
Welcome to the Ball Don't Lie podcast, episode 6. And wow, what great topics we have today. We usually don't even record in the middle of the week, but we had to because um, Wednesday was a big day for news. Basically, the whole of Wednesday was updates about one particular team, and that's the Houston Rockets. And we have, apart from the Rockets, we have so many other trade scenarios for other players that came out. But today we're gonna spend majority of the episodes talking about the Rockets and Chris Paul and Drew Holiday. So let's get into the Rockets. So at about I'm not sure what time exactly, but earlier on Wednesday morning, there was a report from Adrian Wojnarowski saying that Russell Westbrook and James Harden are unsure and are concerned about the Rockets' future. And the team was fearful that they would want to leave. And then after that, a couple hours later, we got the report that Russell Westbrook requested a trade from Shams, and he wants out. We're going to talk about the list of the teams that he gave, but it was kind of like a domino effect. As soon as the Russell Westbrook thing came out, we got another report with Harden not being receptive to criticism throughout the season, and Harden and Westbrook had several tense exchanges last season. Um, PJ Tucker was irate over his contract situation. He thought he deserved a bigger contract. Austin Rivers was frustrated about his role. Daniel House was not happy with his usage. Trevor Ariza, who doesn't even play for the team, but he felt disrespected by the Rockets. Eric Gordon was frustrated with his role. So it was just like a domino effect. It seemed like half their roster damn near was just exasperated with the situation. But we're gonna start with Russell Westbrook because he was kind of like the start for all this. He requested a trade. There was reports saying that he's uneasy about the team's culture and wants to join a team where he can return to being a floor general like he was on the Thunder. Um, he gave a list out to the Rockets, wishing like what teams he wanted to be traded to. And on that list were the Milwaukee Bucks, the Lakers, the Clippers, and the Hawks. And today we got reports that the Hornets and the Bulls were also interested in trading for Westbrook. So I have a question for all you guys. I'm gonna go last on this one. Which team out of like the 6 I just named, do you think Russell Westbrook is the best fit for, or which team would you like to see him on?
So I'm obviously a Lakers fan, and he listed the Lakers as one of his teams one of the teams that he would like to be traded to. And I don't think it's a good fit at all because if he wants to be the guy who has the ball in his hands, the Lakers are the last team I think that he on his list that he would probably want to play for. The team I would want to see him the most on probably would be the Knicks. I think either way, if Westbrook's getting traded to a non-contender, it's going to be, or like if he gets traded, it's most likely going to be to a really bad team. So it doesn't really matter who he plays for, but I feel like him playing in the Garden and playing for the Knicks can sell them tickets. He can be like he can get his triple doubles. He can do all this historic stuff. He just obviously won't do anything as a team properly because Russell Westbrook can't win by himself on a team. He can't be the best player on a winning team. They might get the 8 seed, might get swept in the first round, but I think I would want to see him the most on the Knicks out of all the teams he listed.
Well, I think he would be honestly best with the Knicks. I don't think it was one of the teams he preferred to go to. I still think it would be best if he were to go there. I think a mock trade to the Knicks could be for Julius Randle and that 8th pick. But the main question with that is he valuable enough for the 8th pick? To me, I'm not too sure. I don't know. And if not, then it might be hard for the Rockets to trade him to the Knicks. But I think for the Knicks to get Westbrook, they would have to include that 8th pick. As if they do trade Westbrook, I expect them to trade Harden. And if they trade Harden, it's obviously rebuild time to them. And rebuilding means stacking up on picks. So it would be best if they could try to get that 8th pick. And if not, then I'm not sure where the next spot could be. I think New York is going to be the best option.
Speaking of Westbrook and this trade, today is his birthday, so happy birthday to him. So for his destination after requesting a trade, to be honest, I think that if he's getting traded, it's probably going to be the Knicks. Maybe he doesn't want to go there, but I feel like they can offer the best trade to the Rockets with all those young players they have. Maybe the Rockets want to hit the switch and go into rebuild mode, but I don't think they will with Harden. So I don't know, to be honest, what team can give them like players they can contend for. This is a tough question, to be honest.
I'm from Charlotte, and there has been a lot of chatter about Westbrook getting traded to the Hornets, and I know for a fact that he and Jordan would really work together because obviously we've seen Jordan praise Westbrook before. I don't know what the Hornets would give up, but we know that the Hornets, they've always been a 9th seed, even with Kemba, and having Westbrook, he would still be the floor general. And honestly, I think a lot of people would pay to see Westbrook in Charlotte. I think he'd work out a little bit. Maybe they'd get the 8th seed. I'm not sure. But I think that's a nice fit for him. I don't know how the Clippers would trade for him. They'd probably have to give up Paul George. The Lakers, I don't know how they would even trade for him. The Knicks, I mean, sure, but the Rockets would lose a tremendous amount of they would lose that trade immediately if they traded Westbrook to the Knicks. And I really don't see another team. The Bulls would be enticing, but I mean, do we really want to see two ball dominant guards paired up with each other again in Levine, who's really young, and Westbrook? I'm not really sure about that. And so, I mean, the Hornets seem like a very good option, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, and as far as what I think Russell Westbrook needs to go somewhere where he has the ball. Obviously, he can contend on teams like the Clippers and Lakers, but I just don't think that he would be happy in that situation. I think for him to be happy, he wants the ball. I already read the report where he wanted to be the floor general like he was in OKC. The Bulls, Knicks, and Hornets are teams that or maybe even like the Hawks, maybe, I don't know, because Trae Young has the ball at the Hawks, so probably not. But teams like the Bulls, Knicks, and Hornets, I'd probably see him going there as the best fit because he would have the ball in his hands, and I mean they could just let him off the leash. Like he doesn't really have to worry about giving the ball to anyone because it's going to be his team from the jump. I know Tay just mentioned that Zach LaVine was still on the Bulls, but Russell Westbrook it's going to be his team even if Zach LaVine's on that team. With the Rockets, it was kind of James Harden's team, so he was kind of deferring a bit. But yeah, I want to see him on a team where he gets the ball. But the next question that I'm going to ask you is: we talked about Russell Westbrook. James Harden said that he was committed for to staying with the Rockets. But if I was or if you were the Rockets, would you trade James Harden and try to get another secondary star? Or would you try to blow it up and hit the reset button? What do you guys think? What do you think they should do with James Harden? Because they've tried, the system where it's James Harden and another star, and it hasn't really worked out, and it kind of seems like they've hit their peak. What I would do would probably be I'd probably try to if I have to trade, James Harden, I'd probably do it either now or like 1 year later. Like either like I'd wait for a year to see how like the new coach and the new system is because he is playing in a different system now because he doesn't have to deal with Daryl Morey and Mike D'Antoni's small ball and shoot only threes system. So it'll be interesting to see how he deals with that new system. But if I was the Rockets, I'd look to trade him like now because like I think they've hit their ceiling right now. Harden's getting up there in age. He's already like 30 plus. Westbrook wants to be gone. You're not really going to get much from for Russell Westbrook. Like you're not like you're going to lose a trade for Westbrook. I think like unless you get like some nice young pieces. And I think like they're capped out. Like they have no cap space. Eric Gordon's on like a ridiculous amount of deal. And they still have guys in PJ Tucker. They don't really have trade pieces, and like they don't really have trade pieces or depth. Like the only trade piece they have is Covington because Tucker is aging. Gordon is on a ridiculous contract. So I think they should hit the reset button and blow it up right now, just to make sure that like they get the maximum value for Harden and Westbrook right now.
What I think the Rockets should do first is sit down, like get Russ and Harden and sit them down with the new coach and the new GM or president or whatever he is. And they need to talk to Russ and like let him know that and like remind him that if he's going to get traded and he wants to be the main player, he's going to be going to a bad team and he's not going to be winning. And if Russ is okay with that, then okay, trade him. And if he doesn't want to give Houston a second chance with a new coach, then you have to trade him. I think if the Rockets are going to trade Russell Westbrook for young pieces and they're going to look to like rebuild, there's no point of keeping James Harden because years on his contract are just going down. He's going to be a free agent in 2022. He has a player option for that year, I think. So his contract's just getting shorter. He's getting older. His value is at the highest it will be. So if you're going to trade Harden and you want to rebuild, you do it now because you as Suha said, you're not going to get that much value for Westbrook. Now you might get future assets, but no one as good as Westbrook right now because his value is really low right now. And it's really hard to trade superstar for star. And Harden also, well, you have to try to get from Harden. If they can trade him for Simmons and like other assets on Philly or whatever, a young star, that's the best thing they can do right now. And I think that Houston should blow it up because it's been just, they have the longest playoff streak now and it's just been failure after failure. They could have beat Golden State, but they didn't because Chris Paul got injured. Chris Paul didn't work with James Harden. Dwight didn't work with James Harden. Now Russell Westbrook demands a trade. I think that James Harden loves the town of Houston, but he does not love the players on the team. And I think he needs a fresh start. And I think Houston has to give him that fresh start.
Okay. So we can all agree here that James Harden and Russell Westbrook did not live up to the hype that was given. Like, we can agree that Chris Paul did better with James Harden than Westbrook did. And fun fact, Harden has 9 out of 10 of the Rockets, like, I think, most scoring games in franchise history. But that's not the point. I think Westbrook is obviously out of there. He's requested a trade. And here's where Harden comes into hand. You're losing Westbrook. And if you're getting a young player back and or a pick, Harden isn't going to want to play with that as his previous teammate was Chris Paul. And that's where I think that they trade Harden. I say that they trade him now opposed to next year. Next year, he's 1 year older and he's 1 more year washed. Considering that last season was his prime, I think from here on now, he's going to start going downhill. And if he doesn't have Russ with him, I think that there's a chance that he could get extremely better or extremely worse. But if I'm the Rockets, I'm not taking that chance and trading Harden this offseason. And I think that they could go for maybe Ben Simmons or some other assets on the Sixers. But if they are trading him, it's pretty obvious it's rebuilding time. So that's where the picks come in handy. I think that they're going to try to trade for Simmons and then start your franchise with Ben Simmons, and then you have some other pieces around, maybe Daniel House, Ben McLemore, PJ Tucker, and Eric Gordon don't like their roles or the money type thing, and Austin Rivers. So there's problems in Houston, but it's rebuild time, and that's where I think that it would be nice if they could get that 8th pick for Westbrook if he goes to the Knicks, and then some more picks if Harden gets traded to the Philadelphia 76ers.
Well, considering the Rockets situation, I mean, you have to trade one of these 2 stars, and I'm afraid Russell Westbrook is going to be the star to trade. Now, when you look at trade offers on the table, I know I'm pretty sure most of y'all have watched Matisse Thybulle' vlogs. If you noticed during one of the vlogs that the people they hung around a lot with was Russell Westbrook, and especially Tobias Harris in that situation. So in this case, if you want money to match up, the contracts you're gonna have to throw in to like trade him to Philly, you're gonna have to for Philly, they're gonna have to throw in Tobias Harris probably. They might have to throw someone like Ben, like shooters like Matisse Thybulle, if But as for the Rockets and James Harden, I really don't know where they go with this. I mean, maybe you trade Westbrook somewhere else for a star, but like there is nowhere to trade Russell Westbrook. I don't know a single good team, that contender team that has a star and wants to be traded that would fit with James Harden. And they're just going nowhere at this point. And it kind of sucks. They were literally about, 40, 30 something minutes away from making it to the NBA Finals 2 years ago with Chris Paul. And now they're looking down, they really don't have a path to go in. So, I mean, but James Harden, they are going to keep him regardless. Maybe if he gets older, they trade him, but keep James Harden. And I really don't know where this team goes.
So I really do think that Westbrook needs to be traded, but I feel like when they're trading him, they need to look for a good pick and roll center. If we look a few years back with Clint Capella, Harden's pick and roll with Clint Capella was almost unstoppable. I still have no clue till this date why they traded him, and I will never know. Because if you look back, you can see clips and clips and clips of this pick and roll between Harden and Capella, and they were always scoring on it. They should have done it more in those games that they needed it, because they could have really beat the Warriors if they actually really ran this pick and roll. So I feel like somebody who's underlooked is Cantor. If he could improve his defense, he was actually one of the best pick and roll players a few years back. Like points per pick and roll possession, he was like a top 5, I'm pretty sure, like a top 5 in the league with that. So I feel like maybe if Cantor can improve his defense, maybe they pick him up in free agency if he doesn't pick up his player option. And for the Russell Westbrook trade, I don't know. Maybe they hit the switch and just get as many young players as they can. But if they do that, in my opinion, I think you also have to trade Harden, which I don't think they should do.
All right. Now we're going to be transitioning. I think that's like all that there is to the Rockets situation. We talked about Westbrook and Harden. Now we're going to transition to another player who's also been linked in a lot of trade talks, who is Drew Holiday, New Orleans Pelicans. Apparently, the Pelicans are looking to shop him. They're looking to trade him. And I think the teams that are interested are the Hawks. I think the Hawks' sixth pick was something that was used like in a lot of rumors with Drew Holiday. And I think the Heat, the Celtics, and I'm not sure if there's any other teams. I'm gonna quickly double check. If you guys like know any other teams, like shout it out right now, because off the top of my head, I can think of the Hawks, Celtics, and the Heat.
Clippers.
The Clippers, yes. But regardless, Drew Holiday's name has came up in trade rumors, and I think this is makes sense for the Pelicans because he clearly doesn't fit their timeline. They're he's getting up there in age, and I think they should trade him as soon as they can. They're looking to trade him, during the draft time. But where would you guys? I'm gonna ask the same question that I did about Russell Westbrook. Where would you guys want to see Drew Holiday play?
So Drew Holiday, the list of teams I have here of the teams that I think were interested in him. Obviously, there's probably more, but these are the ones that I remember: the Hawks, the Heat, Celtics, Clippers, Nets, Bucks. So out of those teams, I think he's going to end up on the team that can offer the best young assets to the Pelicans, because the Pelicans want young players. They probably want picks, because right now they're filled with young players. Like Derek Favors is the oldest guy, and like JJ Redick, right? So like they have a pretty young team. I don't think they need, like, that's why they're getting rid of Drew Holiday. They're getting rid of that veteran. before his value goes down. I think maybe the Celtics can give. I don't know who they would give. So I don't know if it's the Celtics that they would trade Drew Holiday to, but the Hawks would definitely have young players that they could trade for Drew Holiday, some picks too. Again, like I said, the Celtics, they have a couple picks in this draft if the Pelicans would want those picks. And yeah, I think the Hawks are probably, out of these 6 teams that I named, the ones that can give the best young assets to the Pelicans, because they're gonna just put all their money in their future. They're gonna go all in on their future. So I think it's important that they get good young assets for Drew Holiday, because Drew Holiday is one of the best perimeter defenders in the league. So they're obviously not giving him up because of his skill. It's just because of his age, and his contract's not that bad either. So yeah, I think Atlanta is probably, out of those 6 teams, the best chance that he will end up on.
Well, first of all, I'm going to put my pick out there. I think that the Heat are front runners, but I would also look out for the Nets, who are desperately, I think, looking for a third star. At least I would be if I were them, because, I mean, I think that a good player for their third star would be Drew Holiday if Bradley Beal isn't available. But I think that the Heat are the front runners due to the young assets that they have. But again, I don't know if it's going to happen just because they might be saving their picks for Giannis. But obviously some Tyler Hero, Kendrick Nunn, maybe even Kelly Olynyk. Andre Iguodala isn't a young asset, but again, he's still a player that they could trade for. Also, Duncan Robinson, literally one of the best shooters in the league last season. And the Heat also, if I'm not mistaken, they might have some picks too. I don't think they have too much like the Thunder, but I do know that they have. And one also thing is that I don't think that he's going to end up on the Heat just because they could be saving for Giannis. So I don't see that happening. But again, like Darian said, I think that the Hawks could be the greatest suitors for them, or one of the best at least, due to their young assets that they also have. So it's going to be interesting to see what this offseason is holding. I mean, there's seeing the free agents, obviously nothing going on, but Drew Holiday, there's been rumors, and now Westbrook is requesting a trade, and Harden could be gone. So it's going to be interesting, but I think that the Hawks and Heat and the Nets, I think that the Hawks, Heat, and the Nets are the 3 teams to watch out for mainly. Yeah, Tejas, what do you think?
I do want to just mention there's this dude in Boston. His first name is Danny. He's probably one of the better GMs in the league. I would not be surprised if he pulled the trigger on Drew Holiday. Funny, y'all thought Danny Green, but Drew Holiday is a very intriguing piece. He can play point guard. He's got the defense. But I would say the Celtics could offer up Gordon Hayward. They could throw in the 3 first-round picks they have, and they could get back the 13th overall first-round pick that the Pels have. And the reason why this might work out for the Pels is that Gordon Hayward would be a perfect 4 for their lineup, because they could have Zion play small ball 5 and then run Brandon Ingram. Who's their shooting guard? They could run Josh Hart. I'm pretty sure I'm forgetting their shooting guard right now. And then it would be Josh Hart or JJ Redick. It doesn't matter. And they have Lonzo run the point and have Brandon Ingram run the 3 and have Zion at the 5. That would be a very good lineup because they could stretch the floor out, which is exactly what they need. But more importantly, they need a stretch 5, and they could trade him for Miles Turner. But Miami's another place. They could trade him for Kelly Olynyk, Duncan Robinson, Kendrick Nunn. The Nets have a bunch of assets. Karis LeVert. They have Spencer Dinwiddie. There's a bunch of teams. Even the Hawks have a lot of talent too. But it just depends what the the Pelicans are going to do. I expect them to get a good trade out of this. But we'll see what happens. This is going to be an interesting few weeks coming up.
So I actually really agree with that Miles Turner. And I think that Boston can also pull off that trade with those 3 picks because they only have that pick that's right behind the 13th pick. They have that 14th pick, they have the 26th pick, and the 30th pick. Maybe, just maybe, the Pelicans will want Gordon Hayward. I don't see why they would want him, but maybe those picks are just a lot more valuable than just one 13th pick. And that could be for the future. But Suhas asked, where would I like to see him go the most? And I'm a Clippers fan, so you already know what I'm going to say. We need a point guard who can distribute the ball. And Drew Holiday averages like 7 assists a game. He's a great defender. Players say that he's the second best perimeter defender, making the Clippers have the 2 best perimeter defenders in the league. So I would want him to go to the Clippers, but I feel like the 3 best teams, the 3 teams that would give the best trades are the Hawks, the Celtics, and
All right. And as far as what I think, Brooklyn seems like a really, really good fit for me. I really like Brooklyn because Drew Holiday can play off the ball. You have Kyrie, and Durant. Kyrie's gonna handle the ball. And Drew Holiday can play off the ball like he's used to be. I don't think like recently he's been handling the ball as much, but he's very versatile. I like Brooklyn a lot. I like Miami. It just depends on what we're gonna give up for him. They said that Tyler Hero is off the limits, but it might be Kendrick Nunn or Duncan Robinson or Kelly Olynyk. I like the Bucks as well because it gives Giannis another guy, another outlet that can create his own shot. But I think those 3 teams for me are probably the 3 that I'd most like to see him on. Now we're gonna play a quick game called Who Says No. I have a couple trade packages for you guys for both Drew Holiday and Russell Westbrook, made by Bleacher Report. Shout out to Bleacher Report. And we're gonna start off with Drew Holiday because we're just on the topic right now, and then we'll go back to Russell Westbrook. And it's only a couple. The first trade that we have is the Brooklyn Nets, as I mentioned, and the Brooklyn Nets get Drew Holiday, and the Pelicans get Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, and Jarrett Allen. So, Darian, what do you think? Who says no to this deal? Drew Holiday for Spencer Dinwiddie, Karis LeVert, Jarrett Allen.
Well, that's a big no. I don't think the Nets are going to give up that much for Drew Holiday. That's too much.
I also say no. I really don't think that Drew Holiday is a great player coming off a great season, especially with all the fans going after Zion. But that's going to be a no for me. I think that that's way too much for Drew Holiday.
If I'm the Pelicans, I'm saying yes. If I'm the Nets, I'm saying no. That's too much. Y'all mentioned it before. I feel like maybe if it was just Karis LeVert and maybe like a 2nd round pick, I mean that'd probably be enough. Or even a 1st. I mean, that would probably be enough. But Karis LeVert, Spencer, and Jarrett Allen, no, that's way too much.
Yeah, I say the same thing as Tejas. I think just like either Spencer Dinwiddie or Karis LeVert in like a 2nd is enough for like a 1st, something like that. I don't think that those 3, like a good young center, a great shot blocker, a good scorer in LeVert, and one of the best 6 men in Dinwiddie, I don't think that's way too much in my opinion.
Yeah, I also think that the Nets would say no. I think the probably the Nets would. If I were the Nets, I'd probably give up either one of Spencer Dinwiddie or Karis LeVert, and then maybe Jarrett Allen, because I don't think the Pelicans are going to do Spencer Dinwiddie in a 1st. I think they're going to want a little bit more. But I'd pick between Spencer and Karis if I was the Nets in this situation. Next, we got the Denver Nuggets. Drew Holiday for Will Barton, Gary Harris, and draft picks. It doesn't specifically say what pick, but it just says draft picks. So we're assuming a couple picks. Who says no in this situation?
Could you tell me?
So I'll repeat the trade. Drew Holiday for Will Barton, Gary Harris, and draft picks.
Ooh, that's a close one. I think Will Barton. Well, Will Barton didn't play on the Nuggets in the bubble. Like, he was just on the bench. And then I think you said Gary Harris. Gary Harris is a pretty good player. It depends on the picks they're giving up. I think if it's just like this year, their first round this year, maybe first round next year, maybe if it's like 2 picks, then yeah. But if it's two garbage picks from the Nuggets, then I would take it. I think both teams. I don't know if the Nuggets would do that, but actually no, I think the Nuggets would do that. Sorry, I don't think.
Yeah, I'm assuming it's like the Nuggets late first round or
So it's
early
only one
second round
pick.
picks.
Okay, yeah.
It's a couple. It's like yeah.
That's a good. I don't know if the Pelicans do that though, because Will Barton and Gary Harris are they like very the young pieces that the Pelicans would want? But that's an interesting trade because Denver would look pretty good with Drew Holiday. If Denver would accept that trade, I'm not sure if the Pelicans would.
Yeah, I mean, it's also close for me. Will Barton, like you said, didn't play for the Nuggets in the bubble, and Gary Harris was, I think, out for most of the season and some of the playoffs. But I mean, they're both okay. They're both in their 20s, so it's a fair deal, I would say. Honestly, I would say that the Nuggets would probably accept it. I would say I would honestly say that it's a pretty fair trade for both teams. Maybe the Nuggets are getting a bit more, but I would say it's a pretty good trade for the Pelicans, who are bound to probably trade Drew Holiday eventually. So if they're getting Gary Harris and Will Barton, including some picks for that, I think that that's a pretty fair trade for both teams.
If I'm the Nuggets, I'm doing this trade in an instant. I mean, you get Drew Holiday to fill out that shooting guard position, and regardless of the fact, Will Barton didn't play in that bubble run at all. They had Michael Porter Jr., they had Jeremy Grant. This Nuggets team would automatically be one of the top 4 teams in the West if they were to acquire Drew Holiday. I mean, I would do this trade in an instant. It doesn't matter giving up a first-round pick. They don't have a first-round pick for this year, but they probably throw in a future first. But I'm doing this trade in an instant if I was the Nuggets. And if I was the Pelicans, sure, I'll do this trade. You're going to have to eventually give up Drew Holiday. You get a nice shooting guard in Gary Harris. He's a good defender. Will Barton is a prolific scorer. He can score the ball. He's gotten better on defense, and he's a decent enough playmaker. I think this trade could work out for both sides, and I would say yes for both sides.
I agree. I'd say this is a yes for both sides because people forget that Gary Harris, like a few seasons back, he averaged like 18 points, and he's an elite defender. Somebody who can give you, let's say, like 15 now, let's say, and especially going to a worse team, maybe he'll average more. This season, he averaged 10. He maybe average more. So let's say about 15 and some great defense with Will Barton, who can also average like 15 and play make. I'd say this is a win-win situation for both teams.
Yeah, I totally agree. I think that the Nuggets, if I'm the Nuggets, I'm taking this. Like especially because Will Barton and Gary Harris weren't really a part of like our run last year. So I'm doing this like in a heartbeat. But and even if I'm the Pelicans, like both like Will Barton and Gary Harris are like above average defenders, and Will Barton can score the ball, like, and they can just play their roles. Like I think the Pelicans as far as I'm concerned, they were a top or bottom 10 defense last year, and that's gonna improve their defense. They're gonna have Zion back fully, and I just think they can be nice veteran, solid pieces who can who are going to just play their role. So I think this is a very, very good trade for both sides. But the last trade we have for Drew Holiday, this is a bit strange, in my opinion, but it's a straight swap with the Portland Trailblazers. Drew Holiday for CJ McCollum. Who says no?
I need to verify. Can you tell me how old CJ and Drew are, if you know?
So, CJ McCollum is 29. Drew Holiday is
30.
30. Yeah.
Okay, so For the Pelicans, okay, so I think Drew is an overall. They're very close, but I don't see a point in trading Drew Holiday for a guy who's only 1 year younger. Like, I think what they can get from Drew is better than they don't really need like that offense. I think the Pelicans need more defense. So I think Portland, maybe for a change with Dame, they might do this. A better defender that would help them a lot. A better defender in the backcourt because CJ sucks at defense. But I think this is a really close trade. I think it could. I don't think it would be a clean swap. I think there would have to be picks. But I think Portland, if it was just 1-for-1, Portland would say yes, and I think Pelicans would say no to this.
I mean, it's a close. I mean, they're both great players. Don't get me wrong, but like they're only 1 year apart. I would say that they're both really good, and I say that I mean, I don't know because I'm determining whether the Blazers should keep CJ and Dame together, or maybe since obviously they haven't been. I mean, they have been performing well. They've made like the conference finals in the second round the past couple of years. This past year they just kind of haven't been doing. They didn't do good at all. But maybe for a change they get Drew. But I think that there's really no point. So I don't really know if it's a good deal for like either team. But maybe honestly, I don't really think it's a good deal for either team.
So for Portland, the face of their franchise is Damian Lillard, and his best friend is CJ McCollum. And if you want Dame to stay in Portland, trading CJ away is not a good idea. So I would decline this trade on both sides, because I know like it just doesn't make sense at all. Like CJ's been a very good scorer. He might not be the best defender, but he's a very good second option. And if they do this, Dame is gone. I mean, Dame is going to be pissed off. He's gone. And as for the Pelicans, I mean, why would you trade for a guy that's literally 1 year younger? You want to go really young, and CJ's like what, 29? Nah, this really doesn't work for both sides.
Yeah, I completely agree. Because the Pelicans, they have that young core. I don't think they're gonna go for some basically same age, let's say. And the Blazers, I guess it can help them on defensive end, so I guess they would agree more. But like, I just don't see it happening because of how good of a shot creator CJ is. So I don't see it happening for either team.
Wow, so I have a very differing opinion to what all of you guys said. I don't think this is a match made in heaven for both teams. Don't get me wrong, but I think if I'm Portland, I'm doing this. If I'm Portland, I'm doing this deal because let me tell you why. The CJ McCollum Damian Lillard thing, they've tried it for so long. Like at one point, you have to break up that tandem because it hasn't really resulted in anything. Um, I think as far as New Orleans go, I'm not really sure like what would be the point for this deal for them, but for Portland, who was like a bottom 5 defense last year, that could help them as like on that end because if you guys don't remember, like when the Blazers and the Pelicans were matched up in the playoffs, um the I think Drew Holiday was the one who was like shutting down Damian Lillard like that one year. It was like a couple years ago. And I think that like Drew Holiday can take the assignment, like whoever's trying to go after Damian Lillard, like on the defensive end, Drew Holiday can take that assignment. And I just think they have to the Trailblazers have to try something different. They've stuck with that tandem for too long, and it hasn't really resulted in much. But if I'm the Pelicans, I'm not going to say yes to this because I just don't think it makes sense for them either. Now we're going to move on to Russell Westbrook, and trades. The first one, you guys are gonna have to listen like very like intently because this is a lot of pieces. It deals with the New York Knicks. Um, so the deal would be Russell Westbrook going to the Knicks for Wayne Ellington, Bobby Portis, Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox, and a 2021 second round pick. Any of you guys need me to repeat that? Let me know. But who says no in this situation?
So you said it's Westbrook for Wayne Ellington. Who's the second guy? Bobby Portis. Yeah,
Bobby
Portis.
Portis.
Yeah, Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox, and a 2021 second round. I think Houston says no. Because Bobby Portis, these guys don't really have that much value. Like, if it was Kevin Knox 2 years ago, or like when he got drafted, like maybe. But like his value has gone down because he's on a bad team and he's still not performing that well. I think Knicks, if they want to get Westbrook, they need to give either Randall or I don't think they have to give up Mitchell Robinson. They definitely won't do that. But either give up Randall or you have to give up your good pick, your 8th pick. I don't think a 2021 second round pick and these like garbage pieces. Frank Ntilikina has fallen off so much. Bobby Portis is pretty bad. He gets suspended like every other game. Wayne Ellington's old, I think. He seems old. For Westbrook, I don't really think that's a good deal for the Rockets. I think the Knicks do this in a heartbeat though.
Yeah, I mean it is a lot of pieces, but I mean they're not really great players. Darian basically took what I was going to say. I think that the Knicks for sure take this deal, but if I were the Rockets, I would probably say no to this. So it's a yes for the Knicks. They get Russell Westbrook, who they want, and for the Rockets, I would probably say no.
This is a straight up no from the Rockets. My dude Flight Reacts would say, the 4 players come from the Knicks, a bunch of nobodies. So this is a definite no from the Rockets. But as for the Knicks, they'd say yes in a heartbeat. I mean, but like the 4 players, Kevin Knox is really not even he's not even getting better. He doesn't have value. But we'll see.
Yeah, I completely agree with you guys. Because, like, Kevin Knox, when he first got drafted, and same as Frank Ntilikina, they both had value. Like, the people thought that these guys were going to be actually decent, right? But now, like Kevin Knox, he's shooting, like, 35%. Like, back-to-back seasons, he's shooting under 40%. So, like, I don't think this is a good deal for the Rockets at all. I would say they pass on this 100%.
Yeah, I also agree with that. I don't think this is. I think the Rockets say no to this because, like, yeah, Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox are young, but they're not really like. None of them have really shown anything that they can be something in this league. And like, yeah, like they're taking like a big risk here. Like, I'd want at least like a couple picks, like first round picks. Like, you're getting a second round pick, not even a first for Russell Westbrook. So I want some picks, or I want like, if I'm the Rockets and if I'm trying to trade with the Knicks for Russell Westbrook, I want RJ. Or someone that is like showing something that he like showing promise that he can be like a very good player in this league. Uh, Next team that we have is the Los Angeles Clippers. David, I'm very interested to see what you say about this since this is your favorite team. This also has like a ton of pieces, so make sure you guys listen closely. It's Russell Westbrook, Cabin Jelly, who's like one of those like G League guys in the Rockets, and a 2021 second round. Oh no, sorry, it's Cabin Jelly on the Clippers. Russell Westbrook and a 2021 second round pick for Cabin Jelly, Magruder, Zubac, Williams, Lou Williams, and Patrick Beverly. Westbrook and a 2021 second round pick for Cabin Jelly, Rodney Magruder, Zubac, Lou Williams, and Patrick Beverly. David, since you're the Clippers fan, I'll let you go first. What do you think about this one?
Okay, so it's known to everybody that the Clippers need a point guard, and that Paul George had his best season with Westbrook. But I don't want to trade Zubac. If we saw in the playoffs that this guy can be good, very good. He's good from the pick and roll. He's okay at defense, but this trade is so close that I feel like Zubac is the deciding factor for the Clippers because you're giving away 2 young pieces in Kabengele and Magruder. And to be honest with you, if anybody has like watched either of those guys play, Kabengele is a actually really good young center, and like he can actually have some potential. So if like if you replace Zubac with another player, I'm completely down for that trade because Zubac is so young and he's so good. Like I don't see the point in trading that many like players for an aging Westbrook.
All right, so first I just want to tell Hudson quickly to please put the timestamp of David saying that in the description of this video so people can see this clownery.
You.
I can't believe you just said you wouldn't trade Zubats for Russell Westbrook. Like, I would understand you not wanting him.
Zubats, but like Zubats.
Listen, buddy, let me talk, okay, bud? I would understand not wanting Westbrook on your team, but the reasoning can't be because of Zubats. You cannot say Magruder and that whatever the jelly guy, who I don't even know existed, are young assets. They aren't young assets, so they're just G League guys. Maybe not Magruder, but the other guy is a G League player, and Magruder isn't a young asset. They're just young players. That doesn't mean they're an asset. They're not worth anything. Lou Williams is a 34-year-old, and Pat Bev is pretty overrated, and he averages like 6 points a game. So that for Russell Westbrook in a second-round pick, if I'm the Clippers, you do that immediately. Although you may not need Westbrook, or you may not want Westbrook, the reasoning behind it can't be because the players you're giving up are too valuable. It's just because he doesn't fit with the team. So Westbrook might not fit with the Clippers, so they might not do it in that sense, but it's not because it's too valuable. The Houston Rockets definitely will not do this because what they're getting back is not nearly enough and not nearly the amount they can get from another team.
Rebuttal that. Clippers aren't going to give up 3 of their rotational players. So basically, if they give up Patrick Beverley and Lou Williams and Zubats, they're giving away one of their 2 centers, right? And they're giving away 2 point guards for 1 player. That's 3 rotational players, 2 young players, and a pick. Their depth is gone after that. Completely gone. That's why I'm saying the Clippers don't do that. If it's just like 2 rotational players and like some like younger players, okay, sure. But 3 rotational players out of that depth, no. Clippers lose the best depth in the league.
First of all, I don't even know how the money would work in this trade. Lou Williams makes what, $8 million. Rodney Magruder, I'm pretty sure is like a low contract. Kevin Jelly's a late first round pick. And Zubats is pretty low, I think, too. And so same with Beverly. So I really don't know how the money works here. And I really don't know if the Clippers add up to about $34 million, and Westbrook's contract's what, like $40 million? I really don't know, or 38, I'm sorry. So, but if I'm the Clippers, I'm doing this in an instant. I'm sorry, like okay. I also want to defend David's point here. If you have a team with Kawhi Leonard's contract, Paul George's contract, and Westbrook's contract, the depth is immediately gone. You really don't have money for free agents. I will make that point, but I will say, like, if you don't do this as the Clippers, like, I mean, what are you doing? Like, excuse me. This is an automatic yes from the Clippers. But if I'm the Rockets, I say no to this trade. You really don't get anything out of it. But that's my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, the Rockets are getting a lot, but it's not as much as they should be getting for Westbrook. And it's a great move for the Clippers because they're getting the point guard that Kawhi wants. If you're the Clippers, you got to give everything that Kawhi wants, or else he's leaving you and you're back to that depressed franchise that you were 2 years ago. So, I mean, to me, I'm not going to be saying as much as David and Darian were discussing, or I should say they got into a big argument. But I say that the Rockets shouldn't be accepting this trade, and the Clippers should be.
I mean, like, if just to like defend Davies real quick. I mean, if I was a Clippers, like, originally, like, I would have said yes. But like, if I'm looking at their like team right now, Montrezl Harrell is walking. So like, if they trade Zubac away, like, they won't really have a center at all. Like, they have no center unless they play like Marcus Morris at the 5 or JaMychal Green at the 5. That's like the only reason why like I'd value Zubac in like some way or shape, because you don't have a center if Montrezl Harrell's walking. But I think this is kind of funny because this is like basically the exact same trade that the Rockets made to the Clippers for Chris Paul. Like it's basically like the same, like, all pieces. So like it's kind of funny that I don't know if the Rockets are just gonna take this back. Like they just gave that up to the Clippers like a couple of years ago for Chris Paul. Like with Lou Williams and Patrick Beverley being the main pieces. Like if I'm the Rockets, I don't want Lou Williams and Patrick Beverley back for Russell Westbrook because everyone was talking about when the Clippers would say no, but the Rockets, like I'm not taking Zubac, Magruder, Williams, and Beverly for Russell Westbrook.
I also want to say,
And yeah, I think
sorry. Can I go?
yeah,
So,
go ahead.
trading for a point guard, I don't think they're going for the Westbrook. They're going for Chris Paul.
All right. But yeah, I think that like this is a no-no situation for both sides. The next trade is with the Detroit Pistons. This is the last trade that we're gonna do for this game. The Detroit Pistons. It's Blake Griffin, Westbrook, in a second round pick, 2021 second round pick. Who says no in this situation?
All right, so I don't know why in this trade the Rockets are giving up a pick because it doesn't make any sense for the I'm going to repeat the trade. The Rockets are giving up Westbrook and a second round pick, I think, for Blake Griffin, just like that. So I don't think that's a good trade.
I mean,
at all.
it's just a second round pick. Like I don't think
Yeah,
it's like the Rockets. So it's
yeah,
probably
but yeah, I know it's like not worth anything, but I think the Pistons, first of all, you still have Derrick Rose, and Derrick Rose can't play shooting guard, and Westbrook can't play shooting guard. So I don't know, that's just not going to work. So I think D Rose is probably going to get traded, but whatever happens, or I don't know if he's a free agent, I don't know what he's doing, but I think Westbrook. I don't think Westbrook would want to play in Detroit. It's like the most lame city, and like okay, let's just go back to the main point. I don't think the Rockets do this. I think the Pistons would do this because Blake's old. So I think the Rockets would say no, absolutely not.
This doesn't even wait. I'm confused on how bad that trade was. I needed someone to I need Tejas to actually repeat that before because I did not think that was the actual trade. First of all, Westbrook for Griffin is not even close to good enough, considering the fact how all those how Zubac, Pat Bev, and Lou Will and some other guy or whatever it was not even close to enough. Even you're even adding a second in there. That's not even close. I mean, Blake Griffin just isn't good anymore. He's old. He's washed up. He's not gonna get good. He's not gonna get good to like how he was in LA. So I don't even know how to say this. Of course, it's a no to the. I mean, if you're the Pistons, by all means, get him because more than likely D Rose is probably going to walk or get traded somewhere. But if anything, the Pistons would obviously say yes, but the Rockets are probably going to say no.
Whoever made this trade, I have no idea what you're thinking, bro. The Rockets would lose this trade immediately, like immediately. The Pistons would win this trade. The Pistons would say yes in an instant. The Rockets should say no. I don't know who made this trade, but this literally is just doesn't make sense at all. No for the Rockets, yes for the Pistons.
If this trade was like Blake, I don't know how to say the name. Right, Blake, Dumbuya, and like a second for Westbrook, maybe, just maybe, but I still think that Clippers trade is better than that. So, but I'm saying no for Rockets just for this trade. You said no for Rockets, yes for Pistons.
I actually just say I think it's a no for both sides. Like I don't think that like I don't know if the Pistons like want to do this deal because it all depends on what they're gonna do with the pick. Like I was in the camp that I think they should take a point guard with this pick, so it wouldn't really make sense to trade for Russell Westbrook if they're drafting a guard with this pick. Or I just think it depends on what they do with this pick because Derrick Rose, I think he's gonna get traded. For sure. And I think that even like the Rockets, like I don't think the Rockets do this either. Like I just think it's a no both scenarios. And now we're gonna talk about Chris Paul. Chris Paul, who was in a lot of trade rumors, specifically with the Phoenix Suns. Like apparently like the Thunder and the Suns were talking about a trade. We're gonna play the same game that we just played with Russell Westbrook and Drew Holiday. But now it's going to be with Chris Paul. And we have three more trades here, or four more trades here. The first one being with the Phoenix Suns. And this involves Chris Paul going to the Suns for Ricky Rubio, Kelly Oubre, and a 2021 first-round pick. Who says no?
So Ricky Rubio, Kelly Oubre, 2021 first round. I saw somewhere that said the Thunder didn't want Kelly Oubre, which I don't really understand because as far as I know, I don't think they have a small forward. I may be wrong because I'm pretty sure they can move up Dennis Schroeder to the 1, Shea at the 2, unless Shea plays small forward for them. I'm not sure. But I think Chris Paul for that. I think if it was, I don't know what Phoenix has this year as a pick. It might be lottery. It probably is lottery if they still have their pick. I think if they throw that pick in, actually, that may be too much. I think the Suns say yes to this, and OKC might say yes if they don't want. Let's say they did want Kelly Oubre, then I think it would be a yes. But since they don't want Kelly Oubre, maybe if they don't want Kelly Oubre, then OKC is gonna say no. So I say yes for Suns, no for OKC.
Well, okay, listen. I've already seen this trade a couple of times, and if you didn't hear, it's Chris Paul to the Suns for Kelly Oubre, Ricky Rubio, and a 2021 first round pick. Now, listen. I think that the Suns have one of the best young cores in the league, which is my whole reasoning on why Chris Paul I do not think is going to go to Phoenix. And I don't see a point of trading your starting point guard right now, Ricky Rubio, who's still kind of young, and trading your starting small forward, Kelly Oubre, who's very young and has potential, for a 30-something-year-old point guard that'll get you to maybe the 7th seed this year and maybe not the playoffs the next year or the year after. So I say you stick to your young core. You have the 10th pick in the draft. You do in this scenario keep the 10th pick in the draft for in this trade. But again, you're losing Ricky Rubio and Kelly Oubre, also next year's first round pick. But if you do get Chris Paul, and then you're probably going to be decently good for your next year's first round pick to not be too great. But I say that you stick young. Obviously, you haven't been able to make the playoffs and you haven't been good. Just wait a couple of years. DeAndre Ayton's is developing. D-Book is still developing. He's already a star. So I say probably a no for the Suns, but a yes for the Thunder.
If I'm the Suns, I would say yes to this trade. Oubre didn't play in the bubble. Rubio was a key part, but you can replace him with CP3 right here. And if you have CP3, he's a very good player. He's a clutch player. He's not the typical superstar, but he's a very clutch player, and they can develop their young core around Chris Paul. Rubio's 30 years old. So, I mean, you're not really, Chris Paul is more developed. He's more experienced. And that's the Suns should say yes to this. I don't know if the Thunder would say yes to this, though. I think it's a little bit too less for CP3. But I would say yes if I'm the Suns. This would make them a playoff contender. But Devin Booker would really work well, I think, with CP3.
At first, I thought this trade was a yes for both teams. Because if we look at the Suns' 8-0 run, they didn't do it with Kelly Oubre. They did it with Mikal Bridges at small forward and Cameron Johnson. So those two guys, I guess, if they're trading Kelly Oubre, it would be the starting small forward, right? Or they would be fighting for it. And I feel like it's fine if you have Chris. I would rather have Chris Paul as my starting point guard than Ricky Rubio. So I feel like this trade is a yes for the Suns. But then when I read about, like how Darnie mentioned that the Thunder don't want Oubre, at first I thought it was a yes. But the Thunder don't want Oubre, and that's like the main young part of this trade. And the Thunder obviously want to have that young future. So that's why I think the Thunder say no. I don't know why they wouldn't want Oubre, but apparently they don't. So the only young thing that the Thunder would want there is that pick. So I'd say Thunder no, Suns yes.
And I think that uh, I think the Suns say yes as well because Chris Paul can take you to that next level. Ricky Rubio is kind of like the odd man out on their team, with their young core. Um, and I think Kelly Oubre, like, although like you wouldn't want to trade him, I think that you still have guys like Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson, who are both wing guys. So I think if I'm the Suns, I say yes. Thunder, I don't really know about like Oubre, but I think Ricky Rubio, like I don't know like when Dennis Schroeder's contract is up. But I don't know if you want Ricky Rubio, Dennis Schroeder, and Shea. Um, I think they should trade Chris Paul for like another like maybe young wing slash big. Um, and that all depends on like whether Dennis Schroeder comes back. Um, and I think that the Suns say yes and the Thunder say no in this situation. But next we have let me pull it up. We have the New York Knicks, were mentioned again. So you guys remember the deal that we talked about with Russell Westbrook? It's basically the same deal with Wayne Ellington, Bobby Portis, Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox, except you're adding Dennis Smith Jr. and a 2023 first round pick on top of that for Chris Paul. So I'm gonna repeat this in case like you guys didn't get all these names. Ellington, Bobby Portis, Dennis Smith Jr., Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox, and a 2023 first round pick. I think it's I mean I was gonna say it's probably because to match the money, but Russell Westbrook is basically making the same money as Chris Paul right now. But it's probably just because Chris Paul's value is higher after the season he had. But who says no in this scenario?
I agree that Chris Paul's value is higher, but even in the last trade, I thought what the Knicks were giving up weren't enough, or wasn't enough, and them giving their pick is useless. So basically, it has no value at all. So the trade was Chris Paul for Wayne Ellington, Bobby Portis, Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox, 2022 or 2023 second round pick. I don't remember which year it was, and Dennis Smith Jr.
2023 first round pick and Dennis Smith Jr.
All right, so that 2023 first round pick could be valuable unless the Knicks become good, but that's probably not going to happen. So I think definitely if you want to trade for Chris Paul, then you have to give up Julius Randle. If you replace like Wayne Ellington, I don't know how the contract's going to add up, but if it's like Julius Randle instead of Wayne Ellington, OKC is going to take this deal 100%. Like if you get Julius Randle, Bobby Portis, Dennis Smith, Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Knox, and the first round pick, I think OKC does it. But without Julius Randle in the trade, I don't think with these players, the like OKC can. I think they can get better. I don't think it's a bad trade. I just think OKC can get better for Chris Paul, but we'll see. I think OKC says no, and the Knicks might be giving up too much for just Chris Paul. He's kind of old. I think it's a no in this. I think it's a no in this.
Well, this is, don't get me wrong, this is a lot. So I think that the Knicks are giving up a lot for that, for Chris Paul, who is kind of old. That's why I said no for the Suns too. But that's the past. But I mean, this is a lot, to be honest. I would probably say that it's a no situation for both. But I think that Julius Randle would be a good player to put into that trade for Chris Paul, and maybe bring the level down. As I think Julius Randle has, I think, a decently big contract. He's making like 17-18 million a year, if I'm not mistaken. So he's making a lot. I think my power might go out in a second, but I'm going to try to finish this. I think that they may have to include Julius Randle in there, and the main question for me is if Chris Paul is worth that eighth pick, and I honestly kind of say no. I think that if they maybe take out maybe Wayne or Dennis Smith Jr. and Kevin Knox, they put in Julius Randle, then they might be able to accept it. But I say it's a no deal for both.
I also agree. I'd say no and no for this deal. The Knicks really don't want someone who's getting older. And Chris Paul really wouldn't be able to compete in these. Like, who does he have on his team? I mean, yeah, you have Mitchell Robinson. Yeah, you have RJ Barrett, but where are you going? This is a no for the Knicks. And in terms for the Thunder, I mean, yeah, you want to get young pieces, but is this really worth Chris Paul? That's why I think it's a no for both sides.
To be honest, it is a no for the Knicks. But the reason I would say yes for the Thunder is because Dennis Smith Jr. is a superhuman. If you guys remember, when he tore his ACL, the doctors told him he had a second ACL, and he was able to return in like a month. So the Thunder are saying yes just because Dennis Smith Jr. is a superhuman.
Well, I also say that the Thunder say yes, not because Dennis Smith Jr. is a superhuman, but because you're just getting so much in return. Like I don't really know, I don't really know if there's like that many pieces that you can get for Chris Paul, like Bobby Portis, Dennis Smith, Frank Ntilikina, Kevin Rocks, and a first round pick. Like I think that first round pick might be like valuable because I know it's like 2023, but I don't think the Knicks are going to be like that good anytime soon. Like even with Chris Paul because he's aging right now. So if I'm the Thunder, I say yes. If I'm the Knicks, I just don't know why you want Chris Paul when he's like as old as he is, and you're just giving up. I think it's just way too much to give up for Chris Paul. Like as good as he is, like you just don't want to give your whole future, except for RJ Barrett, for Chris Paul. Darian, did you want to say something?
Yeah, I just wanted to say the guy who you call the superhuman is a guy who played 34 games this season, 21 games last season, and 32 games the season before. And he averaged 5 points this season. So I don't know if he's a superhuman because he's injured.
He has 2 ACLs. Let him be.
Yeah. All right, let's move on.
All right, moving on to the Milwaukee Bucks, who is another suitor for Chris Paul. The deal is Eric Bledsoe, Brook Lopez, DJ Wilson, a 2021 first round pick, and a 2023 first round pick for Chris Paul. Who says no?
All right, this is an interesting trade. I think on paper, let's ignore the rest of like the rosters on each team. This is a good trade, actually. Eric Bledsoe, Brook Lopez, the 2 picks, and I don't remember who the other person. DJ Wilson, 2021 first round pick, 2021 pick. I think Bledsoe's pretty old. I don't know if the Rockets really want Lopez and Bledsoe in return for Chris Paul. I think they would look more to have young players back. Maybe if they put Dante DiVincenzo in that trade. Maybe did I say Rockets? I might have said Rockets by accident.
Yeah. You said Rockets
instead of what? Said Rockets.
Thunder.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's because I saw CP3. I'm like, I thought he was still in the Rockets. So for the Thunder, sorry, I don't know if they would really want those guys. Maybe if you throw in Dante DiVincenzo instead of DJ Wilson, and then take away the first round picks, maybe just have the 2023 first round pick. That may be too much. I think if they put Dante DiVincenzo, then the Bucks. I think this trade that you proposed, I think the Bucks take this because their first round picks, if they're successful, don't mean anything. It would only mean something if Giannis leaves and they have they get good picks in the draft. So I think the Bucks. The Bucks do this trade. The Thunder do not do this trade unless they're getting Dante DiVincenzo somehow out of this trade too.
Well, all right, so we all know that the Bucks are trying to get Chris Paul to get Giannis to stay. I mean, if they don't get Giannis to stay, then their franchise is done for. So they're trying to get a trusty point guard that can pair well with Giannis, and obviously the main suitor for that is Chris Paul. So DJ Wilson is, we all know, not really the best player, but the main guy we're talking about here is Eric Bledsoe and Brook Lopez. And Eric Bledsoe is their starting point guard, but obviously that won't matter because they're trading for Chris Paul. And Brook Lopez isn't, if I were the Bucks, not the guy that I want to put in a trade to ship away. But that's the only deal. But what I don't really understand is they're trading for Brook Lopez, but they have Steven Adams. So I guess Brook Lopez would play backup center, but I think he's just getting put in the trade to make up for money. But still, I don't think he's a shooting center, but you're not going to start him over Steven Adams unless you start Brooke Lopez and trade Steven Adams. Because what I think that it's rebuilding time for the Thunder. So obviously they're trading away CP3 here. They get Brooke Lopez. I think that maybe they could start him, and they could maybe start Brooke Lopez and maybe trade Steven Adams away, and maybe load up on picks, because I mean, we don't really know what this new head coach can do yet, but Sam Presti, we all know, has some trades up his sleeve, some tricks up his sleeve.
If I'm the Bucks, I'm doing this in an instant. You need to keep Giannis, and if that means throwing in 2 first-round picks, I mean, so be it. I mean, giving up Eric Bledsoe's contract, I mean, I would do that in an instant. I mean, this is a no-brainer for the Bucks. If I'm the Thunder, I mean, I really don't know. Maybe, I guess, Eric Bledsoe, Brooke Lopez, DJ Wilson. You get the 2 first-round picks, which I think would be really nice to stock up on, considering they already have, 15 first-round picks over the next, few years. So, I mean, I would say yes if I'm the Bucks. I don't know about the Thunder. I'd probably say yes. I mean, I would say yes for the Thunder as well.
What I want to say is the Bucks will be left with no center here. So I say, Bucks throwing, let's say, another, I don't know if I want to throw in another first to get back Nerlens Noel. Because Nerlens Noel is worth quite a bit. Because he's a young center and he's a good shot blocker. And to be honest with you, I've heard of some Thunders fans saying he's better than Steven Adams, but he doesn't get the same minutes. So if the Thunders fans, they're the people who are watching this team, if they actually believe that, Nerlens Noel is actually worth something. So I don't know if 1 first-round pick will actually get that value back. So to be honest with you, I say yes for the Bucks, but they're going to be left with no center, and they don't even have a backup center for that. So I don't know. I don't know how this trade would work. They'd have to pick up a center in free agency. But I'd say yes for Bucks, and I guess yes for the Thunder as well.
I say yes for Bucks purely because you get another guy that can create his own shot and take the pressure off of Giannis. Chris Paul is one of the perfect guys for the Bucks. To get, I think if I'm the Thunder, I want Dante DiVincenzo because he's the only young piece that's actually worth something. Because Eric Bledsoe's old. DJ Wilson is not really all that, and Brooke Lopez is also old. So, I want Dante DiVincenzo, but I think it's very close for being a yes for the Thunder. I think it's a yes for the Bucks, though. I'd do this if I was the Bucks in a heartbeat. But lastly, we have the Charlotte Hornets. So we have the Charlotte Hornets trading for Chris Paul and giving up Nicholas Batum's contract, Devontae Graham, and a 2022 first-round pick. So in this scenario, who says no?
All right, so Devontae Graham is obviously worth a lot. And I think the Thunder obviously don't want Nicholas Batum's garbage contract because it is pretty garbage. But I think Chris Paul will be miserable in Charlotte, so he's going to have an early retirement if he goes there. I think Devontae Graham's obviously good. Did you say they get a pick? Could you clarify that?
They get a 2022 first-round pick. And just to clarify, I think Nicholas Batum is his contract's up after next year, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay, yeah, so that might
Yep.
So for the Thunder, that actually might be good. Yeah, that might be good. I think is Devontae Graham a restricted free agent? If he is,
he has 1 more year in his deal, same as Batum. But Batum's a play option, which I
so Batum's definitely going to take it, right? So it's going to be. I think the Thunder, since they probably won't be getting free agents, I don't think the contract really matter. So the Thunder, I don't think it's a bad trade, but I think they can also, like I said before, I think they can do better. Devontae Graham is obviously a really good player, but I don't think the Thunder need another point guard. They ran their 3-guard lineup, their 3-guard lineup that they did at the end of games, and some point throughout, their best lineup was with 3 guards. I don't think they can do that with Devontae Graham instead of Chris Paul. So I don't think that's a pretty. I don't think that's a good trade. I don't think you trade for another point guard if you're going to keep Dennis Schroeder. So I would say it's yes for Charlotte, definitely. Maybe not because Devontae Graham. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and say it's a no.
All right. Well, so let's see. The Thunder obviously will need a point guard just because they're losing Chris Paul. So Devontae Graham could be that good pick, but I think that Devontae Graham was that one-time wonder with that. I mean, I think he's going to perform less next year, not like the Devontae Graham from 2 years ago, but I mean, but again, this is why I think it's a bad deal for the Hornets. Not that it's a bad deal for the Hornets, but they have the 3 pick. They're projected to take LaMelo Ball, and if this trade happens, then obviously they're not going to be taking LaMelo Ball. And LeVar Ball is going to go off if this happens because he's going to want his son to be a top 3 pick. And now that they trade for Chris Paul, he won't be a top 3 pick and he won't be starting. So it's going to be if this trade does happen, then it means that Lamar Ball, is going to be going somewhere out of probably the top 5. But I think sorry about that. LaMelo Ball. I know where I got Lamar from. All right, LaMelo Ball. If this trade does happen, then it's gonna. Sorry about that. It's gonna end up. LaMelo Ball is gonna be ending up going probably out of the top 5, considering the Cavs have their point guard and the Bulls have a point guard. But yeah, I would also say like Darian, it's probably no.
I think it's a no on both sides too. I really don't like this trade at all. Like, I don't think the Hornets would want to give up Devontae Graham, and I can actually disagree with you, Hudson, on the Devontae Graham point. I think Devontae Graham's going to do really well this year too, but because I swear I think he's a really good player. You're really doubting, and I think he's a good player, but I really don't like this trade for both teams. I mean, for the Thunder, Batum's terrible contract. Yeah, Devontae Graham's nice, but you're probably Batum's gonna walk out the door next year, but you do get a first round pick. And Charlotte, I don't know where they're going, so I mean, but for Chris Paul's magnitude, I just really don't think it's that good of a trade for the Hornets. I don't think they want to give up Devontae Graham. I mean, Chris Paul's getting old. I really don't think it works for both sides at all.
I'm going to have a difference of opinion with you guys and say that it's a yes for the Hornets. Devontae Graham has shot 37% in his career from the field. He's a good young guy, right? But if he's not going to be efficient, like, he doesn't bring much other than like passing to the table, because his defense isn't good. It's his scoring, but if he's going to be scoring inefficiently, why would you want him? So I say yes for the Hornets and no for the Thunder, because I don't think the Thunder get enough back. They can get much better deals than Devontae Graham and Nicholas Batum in the pick.
I actually think that this makes a lot of sense for the Thunder, not for the Hornets, because I think for the Thunder, they're saving a lot of money here because Nicholas Batum, his contract, like he averaged like a whopping 3.6 points like this season, so obviously he's gonna take that 27 mil. But like after he accepts it, like he's gonna be expiring, so he's gone like earlier than Chris Paul is. Like his contract expires before that. They get a young piece in Devontae Graham, and they get a first-round pick. So I think if I'm the Thunder, I say yes. If I'm the Hornets, I don't really know why you'd want to give up Devontae Graham after the season that he had. I'd be more looking to get rid of Terry Rozier instead of Devontae Graham, because I think Terry Rozier is getting overpaid. I don't think Terry Rozier is worth $19 million. So I'd look to move Terry Rozier on if I was the Hornets, not Devontae Graham. Darian, do you want to say something real quick?
Yeah, quickly. I wanted to say when David was trying to say that Devontae Graham's inefficient. He averaged 18 points this season, and when you're the best guy on a bad team, you shoot a lot. And he's only played 2 seasons, so it's not like a fair point to say he's inefficient. So, yeah, that's all I wanted to say.
I mean, he's had back-to-back seasons shooting under 38.
Bro, he's only had 2 seasons, bro. He's had 2
But
seasons.
but still, back-to-back seasons.
What were
shooting
Kobe's
bad.
first 2 seasons?
He didn't play.
But like he's like the only.
Much.
But he's like what Darian is saying that he's like the
Yeah,
only
yeah,
one
I
who's
get
gonna
that.
take
I
the
get
shots on the team. So like he
I know,
doesn't
I
really
get that,
have
but
anyone.
To be honest, I feel like he might also leave in free agency because if he's gonna
I think he's
be
restricted.
improving- is he?
I
Oh,
think he's restricted.
Yeah, he's restricted. Yeah,
never mind.
I'm pretty
I don't
sure.
know.
But
If he's restricted, you might request a trade if he doesn't like it in Charlotte because there's not much going on there. The
but
city's
yeah,
nice, just the team.
that is gonna be all for this episode. We hope you guys enjoyed it. We got through a lot today. This is actually one of our longer episodes with news and trade rumors. We hope you guys enjoyed the game. Who says no? It's kind of something we made up on the fly. But if you guys have like any other games, please let us know down in the comments. This week we're gonna be grinding. We're gonna be bringing you guys multiple episodes. So just stay tuned. Next episode is going to be our top 10 point guards, and the episodes after that is going to be shooting guard, small forward, and so on.
Also,
oh yeah, Hudson, go ahead.
Also, if you made to this part of the video, obviously, thanks for watching. Last video is our mock draft, literally blowing up. Thank you guys. But just a whopping 76% of you watching this are not subscribed. So make sure if you're watching this, hit that subscribe button. If you made it to this part of the video, you're a real legend.
Yeah, so like Hudson said, 76% of you guys are not subscribed, and our mock draft was one of our. I think it was our biggest video that we made. Like the views blew up. So hit that subscribe button, hit that like, and then most importantly, hit that bell on the side, right? So you guys don't miss any of our episodes because we're dropping bangers. You guys don't want to miss it because when the season starts, we're gonna be on this. We're gonna be on our grind nonstop. But yeah, thanks for getting to this part. You guys are true goats. We'll see y'all next time. Peace.
Is there a way you can like edit that to put it to the start? Like